X, even if it's not, or their friend sold it, or somebody else across the street sold it for that, and they're like, well, mine should sell for that too. It's like, well,
you know what I think?
It's
really hard.
Did you compare it back in March? That's different than May.
This location's it's the creek,
I know.
the trail, and then this type of South Lamar.
Are you gonna buy, JJ?
Pretty cool. I would go back to what you're saying. We talk to the list agent, see what's going on.
Yeah, so there's definitely some opportunity there. That's big.
And this zip code is full of different versions of this: age, walkability, how remodeled and old it is.
You know, I've got a listing like this in Houston. I co-list. I'm not listing it myself in Houston, but I'm co-listing, and it's like this where it could use some love, but the seller wants, or people have told the seller that it's worth this because of where it's at. And you see that others have been torn down and flipped. And so the seller had this in their mind. And I'm like, no, that's not the case here. They're giving you lip service so that they can try to wholesale deal you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
It's always fun when people don't really know and they'd like to give advice.
What do you think's coming to this area that's worth talking about, or in this area that's worth talking about? I don't even know that everybody who's watching knows anything about, I'll say, South Congress. So like if you're not from Austin or haven't spent enough time in Austin, you've probably heard one street, and that's like 6th Street, which we call Dirty 6th. But then there are a bunch of really lively streets. And in fact, 6th Street doesn't have the same allure that it did back in 2015 or 2017 or 2019.
True. Are you saying
the rush? You know.
Go for it, JJ. Daphne. Sorry. No. You go.
It's just more like the circulation of, like it's ramen tatsuya is a hot thing, and then there's a new restaurant. It's the eateries and the vibe, the city culture.
It's so cool because you didn't have, like, ramen tatsuya was never, it wasn't over here. So this is one of their, like, their third restaurant location. Like, so anytime you have, like, we saw this with the Domain in North Austin, right? Where the Domain started to carbon copy what was happening in certain pockets of downtown. And now you're having the same thing here south of your base downtown. So like the ramen tatsuyas of the world, it's wonderful. Or Odd Duck, just really successful restaurants that want to have more locations and expand. Snooze is another great example. It's like, okay, so now you've got this area, and this area to choose from. So whether you live north, central, or south, now you have that option. So this is that south kind of hyper hub for growth. You're doing some big things when you've got a Lululemon in your neck of the woods.
Is there a Lululemon over there?
There is. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
South Congress, right?
Well, it's on South Congress. Yeah. But let me tell you, I almost exclusively wear Lululemon, but I hate brand. I am not pretentious. I'm like the exact opposite of pretentious. But let me explain. I've ripped so many pairs of pants. And then they have like this policy where you bring it back and they'll just replace it for you. I was like, okay, it's a good deal, So yeah, so I seek out those Lululemon locations. That's a little
good TMI. Quality, man.
They replace it for you.
Really good quality.
Right? They're like Dyson. They're lifetime warranty-ish. So anyway, okay, this is good. Any other thoughts on this, JJ, Daphne, about the area, about the investment?
What were you going to say, Daphne?
I forgot what I was going to say exactly, but a thought I have on the area, and I talk about this actually quite a bit, is that South Congress area is so popular, and it's changed. It's completely unrecognizable from what it was. And personally, it makes me a little bit sad because there were so many small businesses that made up the flavor and texture and color of Austin that started in the South Congress area that are no longer there. And though I am pro growth, I wish some of those locations, some of those stores and restaurants would have survived. But with that said, a neighborhood that's super, super popular and I feel like still, what is wrong with that car? But, but a neighborhood that's
There's
really
your weird of
magical.
Austin, though.
Oh, did she freeze?
We're at
Or
the
did
edge
I?
of our
Is
seats.
Travis Heights. That definitely has. Oh, did I freeze?
Just
Hello,
for a
hello,
second.
hello.
We heard you start talking about Travis.
Okay.
A little bit,
cool.
but we got Travis Heights out of you.
Yeah. Yeah, Travis Heights, super magical little neighborhood. It still has a really cool, unique Austin vibe. And because of so many of the houses there, that neighborhood speaks so clearly of what Austin used to be and what it is now, because there are these cute little houses from 1940, 1930, even 1920 that people still live in. And then they've got these like little modern mansions next to them a lot of the time. And that's basically what Austin is. It's a mix of like the quirky earthiness with the like new money and development that the tech industry has brought in.
You know, I want to talk about something that JJ, you brought up a little earlier as far as the cash flow portion of it. Now, you see these prices. This is not any investor. This is not necessarily your first time investor that works at, Conan's Pizza or something like that. This is somebody who has the resources to be able to purchase a property like that, probably with cash. And so, but it is often a good turnover opportunity, or even a
unless you're
long-term
putting
hold.
all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, like we just got to be careful with that, because all three of us are talking about investments in Austin specifically today. And
Right.
we have investors that reach out and they'll say, well, I want a place that's going to cash flow. And it's like, well, yeah, everybody does. Right. And JJ was very quick to say, maybe that isn't Austin today. And, we go back and forth because that is the right conversation. If cash flow is your only angle, then is this the opportunity? But if long-term growth and equity and opportunity is your angle, then maybe it's a different discussion.
Definitely. Right? Definitely. Yeah. One thing that I tell, I don't work with that many investors or people that want to buy and hold, but one thing that I tell them is that it's always going to feel like the most expensive time to buy, because people will say like, oh, is this a good time to buy? And I feel like since I started in real estate, I feel like since I started in 2012, it's always been like, this is the most expensive time to buy in Austin. And it's always continued to be that way, whether it be interest rates or just prices. But some of the stories that I share is that each of the rental homes that I have, it's taken a couple years to see them cash flow. And granted, I started buying them in 2016, so I've seen a significant amount of appreciation.
No.
So it sounds like the cash
longer
flow,
term, like Ian said, for like longer term reward.
Yeah.
So the cash flow was thin, and then the appreciation was thick.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
All right. So
thick
I want to talk about a neighborhood that nobody would expect that I would say, especially as, if anybody's been watching either my channel or any of these other channels in the Austin area where we talk about different locations, this is not high on most people's list. Let me explain. Please let me explain. So I'm pulling up Easton Park, and I think it's so funny because you have so many people that want to live or invest in Austin, but I also have a subset of investors that want new construction specifically, right? And so a lot of times what will happen is if you're a new construction investor, like that's a mindset, right? Like I want an investment, but I want new construction only. It's like, okay.
Do you want to explain the new construction strategy?
Well, there's a bunch, yes. But let me first, I guess the thought is, if you're buying something that's new construction, sometimes there's incentives tied to that, right? Sometimes you can make that your primary and turn it into a rental later. Sometimes you can use that and know that you don't have to worry, right? That's air quotes, big air quotes, worry, because the home is under a manufacturer's warranty for X number of years. And so you feel like there's less probability of maintenance. So there are a lot of variables in that new construction mentality mindset. But most property investors that want new construction, that want a suburban feel, can't find that in Austin proper as easily. They often tend to go to some of the suburbs. That's the conversation I have a lot. So you have people going to your Leanders, your Pflugervilles, your Round Rocks, your Budas, your Kyles, because they see the prices, they see the new construction options. And so they think, oh, there's so many options out here. Why would I go to Austin? So that's why this specific neighborhood in Austin proper is part of today's conversation. Lots of reasons. So one, it's a really cool neighborhood when it comes to amenities. So you got to think about this. If you are buying it to rent it out, and for a while you weren't going to be able to do that, but if you're buying something to rent it out, having the amenities for your tenants could be a huge draw, depending on the target, depending on the audience, depending on your type of tenants. That's big, right? They've got dog parks, they've got pools, they've got all these things. And, you know, you're going to ask, is there an HOA with that? Yes, of course there's an HOA with that. Yeah, of course there's an HOA with that. But another thing that's kind of cool is that it's near the airport. And I'll pull up the map and all that later. So there are a bunch of different builder options at all different price points, different quality aspects. And then the amount of homes. 12,000 homes are being built in this community. That's huge. So think about it from an investment perspective, because that's the purpose of today's podcast. If you're buying something in a community and you can get an early phase, let's say there's supposed to be 12,000 homes and they're on home like 2,000. What does that look like for you long-term? If you wanted to buy, live there, move in a year, or buy as an investment, or some of the units, and I've got clients that have done this, some of the units or some of the properties even allow you to purchase a multi-unit, right? So I've got relationships with a lot of the different reps out here. And so if that's a great conversation to have. Hey, I want to buy a duplex.
I have a question too.
Please.
What do you think about the pre-construction? You ever get that client that does the pre-construction play? They get in at the price, they let it build like as long as possible. Let's say 6 months, 8 months.
Oh yeah.
And then, I mean, there was a time where it was a year.
That's an individual client conversation. That's not really a podcast conversation because there are so many strategies, deeper strategies to that.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, that is another.
You think it's happening in Easton? It's worth, like, this is a neighborhood worth maybe.
I do think it's happening. Yeah. So it is still Austin address. So let me pull up. I want to show a few other things. So let's see. I am here. I want to show this. Okay. So it's really close in proximity to the Austin airport and to Circuit of the Americas. So that's another big advantage. If you have people that travel a lot, let's say for business, or they're into tech, or they work for a tech company, that Easton Park is very close in proximity to the airport and to a lot of these things, and still an Austin address. So there's a big draw there. You can even purchase homes in the neighborhood that have Tesla solar roofs, right? Like there's so many variables in there that make it a unique value proposition, more so than like your Whisper Valley or some of these other neighborhoods. So the airport, I don't know if everybody's seen this, but if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, like we're getting more gates in the Austin airport. It's going to take a little bit, but it's expanding. Austin's an international airport. They're adding more gates. They're talking about the Project Connect. Have we talked about that? Right. Mm-hmm. So eventually there will be more rail lines and metro buses going to and from the airport to downtown. And I feel like Easton Park, new light rail, I feel like Easton Park is one of those intentional travel hubs. So that's another really big one. Okay. So
I'm a fan of following the commuter rail itself, and access to it completely changes the location of the nearby neighborhoods.
Yes. Right, because that's the thing. Right now, Easton Park. Oh, let's see if I can show you this. If I pull up the map, let me stop this share. I'm going to show you the map.
Be old school realtor and say location, location, location.
Oh my gosh!
But
here we go.
I think that when you hear it, there's like layers to it, right? And I think Metro Rail is good. But what's interesting is the ridership is like not a hot thing. Is that what y'all see in here?
Well,
100%.
Yeah. It also depends on where. It also depends on the marketing of it, right? Like how many people need it, how many people can use it. Already, we're at a deficit with the number of people that can use. There's only one good one, right?
Yeah.
So if they start adding more lanes, then that increases the flexibility of the riders and should increase the ridership. So here's a great example. So like Easton Park, I'm going to say it's out of the way. All this green space, there's a bunch of nothing. There's a state park here, bunch of nothing. Beautiful place.
Yeah,
for
that's
hiking,
awesome.
mountain biking, all that. But then you got this neighborhood kind of out in the middle of nothing. But out here you have the international airport. You have Circuit of the Americas right here, right? You're in South Austin, so you have fairly close access to start getting to your 04 and your Travis Heights and your South Lamar and South Congress. So if you want to live south, this is a neighborhood that's a little bit isolated, but this is what I'm talking about with growth and investment opportunity. It's a South Austin neighborhood that has all these amenities near the airport, not far from 35. And green is, in my mind, I use the term green is growth. Green is what's growing. So anyway, that's why I think this neighborhood is kind of interesting to discuss, right? They're building it up pretty well. It is suburbia, don't get me wrong. But like right now it's a tech suburbia. It's close enough to 130 where you can hop on over to Tesla. Kind of big. So there's a lot of value in the location. And even if it wasn't this exact neighborhood, there are other neighborhoods that I put plenty of investor clients in, but this one's it's specific for a type of client. And so I just don't want investors to overlook this type of area.
Yeah,
depending
that's
on their investment strategy.
Like the premium Southeast new construction master plan community.
It is currently the largest announced that I know of in South Austin as far as a new construction community. Yes. Master planned community.
I would bring up competition with that one. So my take on 130 is the one, if you're looking at new construction along 130.
Real quick, just so everybody knows, we have 3 major roads that go north and south in Austin that people talk about. 35 takes you from Oklahoma to Mexico. We have Mopac and then we have 130 over here. So 130 is fastest highway in the United States, fastest speed limit in the United States. You've got 85 miles an hour along the way, but a lot of the manufacturing is along here. So your Tesla, your Samsung, your Dell, your Amazon, right? So that's why 130 is a big conversation. So I just wanted to say that before.
Can I make a quick note?
Yeah, always. Yeah. This is the point.
So 35 actually goes from Mexico to Canada.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it does. So I'm currently in Minnesota right now. I'm visiting family.
Are you?
Oh, cool.
You know, are you Canadian? You're not Canadian. You're not Canadian, right?
It's just on the edge of Canada, and I would take 35 all the way north.
Interesting. So I just drove to Canada in February. I did not know that I could. Well, one, I wasn't going to that direction, but I did not know that 35 went over.
Oh, yeah. I guess it depends what part of Canada.
Exactly.
But yeah, it does. It goes all the way up. Anyway, back to 130. Yeah.
I love it.
I just learned that too. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now I know how to get to Canada in my car.
I'm like, oh, let me see it. Let me see it.
Yeah.
Let's see this road trip here.
Yeah. Cool. What were you gonna say, JJ? I'm sorry.
So interesting, because what I feel like when people look, there's a couple things when Easton Park comes up. If they bring up a proximity to downtown Austin,
yes,
you use 130 as well. And then you go back to master plan, new construction communities. The flip side, when you go northeast, flip from southeast to northeast, following me, is Black Hawk, Pflugerville.
Yes.
That's kind of another similar if you wanted to do It's like northeast versus southeast, basically.
Right here.
Yeah. For similar reasons, like amenities. But Easton Park has those like the ADU construction.
It has some of them. Some of the units are even double ADU.
Yeah.
In Easton Park, which is huge. Yeah.
Wow.
So you buy one property and you have 2 rentals. Everything's quotes. Don't be taking me at my word for that. But yeah, 2 ADUs in one property and one
construction piece,
like that's built for you. Like they had to go through a lot of permitting and they take a long time to build, but they exist. And right now is kind of I'll call it a slower season for Easton Park. But some of the things that I didn't like about it before have started to shift. For example, there are price points that have come down. I've got, like I said, some builder relationships. We've got products that are a little bit lower than they were, like not even a little bit, like substantially lower. So you could have, let's say, a Perry home on a 40-foot lot, which that didn't even exist anymore. And so now it's like 500s for the base price with the tax rate's gone down because it's been building out. Because, as in Texas, every neighborhood has a different property tax rate when they assess you. And Easton Park started off ridiculously high. Nobody's shy about that. That's what all the amenities came in. But now, because they've been building for a little while, the property tax bonds have been paid down and down and down, or the bonds have been going down, the municipal bonds. And so the property tax rate is decreasing. And so if you buy a new house at that price point, you're paying less monthly if it's the same price as it was, 4 years ago, whenever we started there.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I know, a lot of this. Taxes. It's a lower price product today. And there's more inventory too. So for investors specifically, especially if you're looking for a neighborhood to move into and do the BRRRR strategy, that could be big. Could be. Mm-hmm. Or single family rentals. We're not talking, even multifamily, right? Like there's a lot of opportunity here. And there are other neighborhoods like this McKinney Crossing, which is across, but that's a single builder and not the same.
Totally different vibe.
It's not even
builder.
Close. It's not even close. No, for all of it. The amenities of the neighborhood, the turnover, the lease prices, like none of it is comparable. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just different.
Easton Park feels like a kind of like a urban community in the middle of nowhere with so much stuff to do. And I mean, like so many amenities. It's not like there's a lot of stuff going on there except the amenities and the houses. But yeah, you go to McKinney Falls and it's kind of this, it's all cookie cutter, but in McKinney Falls is way more cookie cutter, more traditional style. I'll call it a little bit more basic and not as like eclectic.
Well, and especially because you have so many different builder options and each builder might have to the nth number of variety. And then there's all these different lot sizes and there's a lot of variety in there. So that's my share for the day, surprise share for the day. Again, that's never, if you would have asked me 4 years ago, should this be a great spot for investors? I would have had like 10 different boxes to check off before I said yes. Like the percentage of people that it would work for would have been a lot lower. But today I'm like, it's pretty compelling for a number of reasons. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Daphne, you were talking about Travis Heights. You want to talk about that or some other neighborhood that you're excited about?
No. Yeah, I mean, Travis Heights is fun to visit and it's a fun place to live. But no, I would not personally buy anything there to buy and hold. It's more of that's going to be your house likely.
Yep.
But let me share a couple places that I'm really excited about as far as investment goes.
Okay.
Depending who the client is, and what kind of the budget is and strategy, et cetera, I think Kyle is a really, really great option for a lot of people, especially now that we're in such a strong buyer's market. Like just like Ian was saying, if you can get a new construction home with a ton of incentives and just hold on to it for 5 to 10 years, rent it out. Kyle is changing literally every week. And there's so much coming there. And it's still so much less expensive than the rest of Austin.
So I'm selecting Kyle and sharing the map just so for people that haven't seen it, like this is when she says Kyle, it's, it's a city, but one thing that's really cool. And I agree with you on this, Daphne, the fact that it's nestled between Austin and San Marcos, or if you go even further, Austin and New Braunfels, or Austin and San Antonio, like that travel, Kyle's right there, but it's closer to Austin in general.
I have a question, Daphne. Why'd you bring up Kyle instead of Buda, which is just north?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think Kyle has more room to grow. Also, Kyle has more affordable homes from what I've seen. And to be fair, I don't really work a lot in either one, but just from like the quick research I've done over the last, I guess I've been kind of keeping up with it over the last like year or so. It was interesting because last year, one of my friends had a birthday, and we went to a restaurant. I believe it was in Wimberley, and we had to drive through Kyle. And I hadn't been through Kyle in literally 4 or 5 years, except driving through to San Antonio. And as we were going through kind of the back roads to get to this restaurant, we saw so much construction. I mean, it was just like strip mall, new businesses, couple schools, just a ton of stuff coming up. And I was in the car with my boyfriend, and I was like, holy crap, did everybody just decide last night that they were going to develop in Kyle? Because that's really what it feels like. And
you have the college crowd, like the A&M or the Texas State crowd.
Texas State.
Sorry, I got to be careful. Whoa.
My wife went to Texas State.
Yeah. So you have the Texas State crowd. You have the Wimberley crowd. You have the Lockhart crowd that want to be closer to a bigger city, but not in a bigger city. And Kyle kind of gets that overflow because this is along 35, the Mexico to Canada road, right? I'm going to use that forever from now on.
Please do. Yeah, that's what it
So
is.
good.
It's a powerful highway.
But I have to check it. I have to verify that it actually go.
Yeah. Check it.
So
Sure.
the fact that, like, remember we talked about green as growth areas, right? Like growth opportunity areas. Kyle is growing faster. If you look at just the actual layout of it, is growing faster than Buda right now, based on the concrete jungle aesthetic here, right?
Are you talking about like a per capita?
I'm talking about what's being built based on the Google Maps topography. That's all I'm saying, right? Like, here's an example. You look at San Antonio and you look at Austin. Austin still has a lot more room to expand. San Antonio is about where it's going to be. There's a little bit over here, but we don't know what state parks are protected or, government owned or whatever, state owned. So, like,
I'm gonna throw some out there, but
yeah,
this needs to get back checked too.
Yeah.
Now we have to verify this stuff. Someone told me that Austin is a very skinny looking town that goes north and south.
Yes.
Because west you have the hill country and it's
in the lake. You can't do anything.
The lake. Yeah.
You can't build on the lake yet. Not really, not in the lake. And then you go out east, and then you've got so much of the clay, the soil that's harder to build on.
Yeah, it's a soil thing too.
Yeah. So
that's a very
and there's
north south. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Our technology is improving when it comes to like the 3D printed homes, the different malleable foundations, all these things, so that building out here isn't as scary as it once was. In the 50s and the 60s, they're like, but now you can build out here no problem. So now it's just, what's the draw? The draw is going to be our manufacturing. The problem with the manufacturing is that the price points of the income limits the price points of the homes. Right? And so as an investor,
can I bring up an income point?
Yeah, please.
What's up with the Tesla employees, or what do you think about employment? I've seen some great news about Austin's employment, but
great news?
Since we're talking about 130 in the east like area, I heard Tesla laid off some people.
Daphne, what do you think?
Again?
I'll let you go first. Oh, yes, again.
I'm like today?
No, from like previous months.
I mean, they just did a layoff a couple weeks ago, a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
That's the latest I heard.
Yeah.
I mean, huge Tesla fan, love. Also recognize the fact that Elon is straight up crazy. Oh, there's the heart emoji again.
Yeah.
You guys see that on my screen?
For Elon.
Yeah, for Elon. I mean, he deserves love, because I mean, he's trying to change the world. He's doing some really big stuff. He's nuts sometimes. But okay, so what was the question? What do I think about Tesla stuff, or what do I think about the
employment, Tesla employment, Austin employment, income coming in?
Yeah, gosh. Well, I mean, I have a lot of clients that work for Tesla, and the constant conversation that we're having is that they still have their jobs, but nobody really knows how much longer they're going to have work with Tesla because it's volatile. At the same time,
Uh-oh.
She's in
also Pflugerville.
Minnesota.
Now, oh, are we cutting out?
Yeah, it's back though.
Testing, testing. I'm in Minnesota, like that.
Minnesota.
Okay. Um, so yeah, so I think Tesla's definitely here to stay. They're super rooted here, or in Austin. They've got the Boring Company in Bastrop. There's what's the other one? There's another company town that they've got that
There's
Elon's building.
SpaceX. There's
Brownsville.
Neuralink.
SpaceX. Yep, that's in Brownsville, right?
They've got a few. They actually have a place in Cedar Park that they own that they haven't done anything with. That I believe that's the case.
Okay, so I mean, I think just ups and downs in the economy are gonna reflect what's going on with Tesla. But as far as employment, I mean, our economy is it's wonky right now, but we have some really big IT companies. We've got some of the biggest ones in the world right in Austin. So I think right now there's a lull, but long term, it's like it always comes back. So that's what I'd like to say.
It comes back from what I've noticed in regards to industrial resiliency. That is off the charts.
Just speaking real quick on the Tesla thing, obviously they have the Gigafactory here, but they're expanding this direction and they're expanding on this side of it as well, right? So all of it, there's so much. So you can see like a whole line of cyber trucks here, and I mean it's the most American-made vehicle right here.
It is
next to the Austin airport, which SpaceX launches in Houston, right here. And look at this. Look how easy it is to go from one to the other.
Yeah,
come on, that's part of the master plan.
Straight shots.
Straight shots. So, and then if you need to fly to California for whatever reason, that's it. Elon. I mean, if Elon needs to fly, he's not going to take.
I think he flies out of the private airport.
Southwest.
Oh yeah. He'll fly out of the Pflugerville. Would be my guess.
Not to put
maybe he has his own
there.
private. Yeah, like maybe that's something that just takes off like an F-16. Is it a 16? No, 14. The Tomcat, the one that does the vertical.
It goes up.
Yep.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've hit some pretty solid areas that I don't know how many people are watching this would agree or have heard about. So I'm glad. I think it was a good conversation for like unique areas and investing, because again, I have a lot of I end up talking to a lot of people that are in the investment space that want to be investors or are savvy investors or have investments and they want to offload some of their properties. And like I rarely hear Easton Park come up as a conversation. And I think it's because a lot of people don't know how well it's growing, but the people that are there believe in it. And I agree, and I understand why they believe in it. And so I think it's just an untapped market. Same with 04. Like if you look at the growth that's happened along the way, JJ, you're spot on. It's just been like boom, 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 boom. Like it is. And Daphne, I think you said it completely transformed. I remember, so I moved to Austin in 2015. And in 2015, I remember what South Congress looked like. And it was mostly a couple food trucks, a couple nice little restaurants. It is very different now. So
totally.
Yeah. But like you said, the change is good. We don't want to lose the culture of Austin, but also the question is, what is the culture and what do you want it to be? And that's where it goes back to the investor. It's on them to kind of drive the future culture of the city. If we have that ability as property investors, are we just buying up these properties, making sure that, we're cash flowing, or are we buying something and retaining the thing that made it, that had the draw for people to come here to begin with? Daphne, what say you? Oh, as soon as I asked that, I think she froze a little bit.
Process of growth, a lot of that original flavor that we had is probably going to go away, and a lot of it has. And some folks are bitter about it, which is understandable because it also used to be kind of a grimy, hippie, funky place, and it's a lot more refined now. It has grown up. There's a lot more money, and I think that's though sad, it's inevitable. It's bound to happen. Yeah, it's just the process of growth and evolution.
Yeah.
And tech is so fast.
Yeah.
I would love to document old Austin better, like the Dazed and Confused movies and, you know, Slackers and stuff like that.
Do it. What do you mean you would love to? Do it. Do you want to do that as a podcast one time? So that's another thing. People that are watching this, I want to ask, like,
somebody out there do it
that you want to see. What would you like to see? Put something in the comments that lets us know that we're either A, doing a good job, or B, you have something that you want us to talk about on our next.
That's a great note. That's a great note, Ian. Yeah.
Yeah. We're about preservation here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for attending. I mean, I think it was a good podcast. I hope people learned something. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Let us know if you have any questions. We appreciate y'all and love spending time with you. See ya.
Bye.
You know, it's so funny.
It still says live.
Yeah, it is still going. It's still going. I mean, but we can chat. I was going to say it's so funny because does
mine do it?
I already hit stop. So if you're still here, stay with us. I love you. Thank you.
It still says live rec.
Yeah, I know.